This is Harrison Dillard. He was born in Cleveland, Ohio, and he lives and works there today. When Jesse Owens won 4 gold medals at the 1936 Berlin Olympic Games, Harrison Dillard was 13 years old. It was then that Harrison Dillard dreamed of competing in the Olympic Games.
I can remember very vividly, of course, Jesse Owens, who was from Cleveland, and that year, 1936 specifically, when Jesse came back home to Cleveland after going to the parade in New York and up Fifth Avenue, the ticker tape job, they had a parade for him here in Cleveland. And I remember after the parade passed, we ran back home. And I burst into the kitchen and said, Mama, Mama, I just saw Jesse Owens. I'm going to be just like him. And she said, yes, son, I'm sure you will.
London, 1948. The Olympic Games are renewed for the first time since the Berlin Games of 1936. One of the members of the United States team, 25-year-old Harrison Dillard. Dillard served in World War II after attending Baldwin Wallace College, where he excelled as one of America's outstanding hurdlers and sprinters. In track circles, he is called Bones, a nickname that has stayed with him from childhood because of his slight build. In the months before the London Olympic Games, Dillard had an incredible streak of 82 consecutive victories in the hurdles and sprints. His unbeaten streak was still intact when he entered the United States Olympic trials. Dillard would try to make the team in more than one event.
The Olympic coach had thought that I would be fast enough to make the sprint relay team, the 400-meter relay. So on that basis, I elected to try to qualify in the 100 on Friday. Barney Ewell, who equaled, I think, the world record in that race. Barney had a beautiful start. Mel Patton and I were just running to make the team, really. And we were the last 2 starters, last 2 men out of the blocks. And we passed everybody except Barney. So the 3 of us, Ewell, Patton, Dillard, were the 3 American sprinters in the 100.
The day after the 100-meter trials, the trials for the 110-meter hurdles are held. Harrison Dillard is the unanimous favorite to win this event and then go on to win the Olympic gold medal.
This, of course, was to be an event in which I had again but to place no worse than 3rd. I got over the first hurdle, as I recall, in pretty good shape, but I think I hit about 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th hurdles just consecutively with my heel, the lead heel, going up. And finally, I wound up at the 8th hurdle, just the timing, the rhythm so completely destroyed that I just stopped at that point, of course, dead last. The first time I remember ever having finished last in a race, and of all races to do it in, it had to be the Olympic qualifying race.
Dillard made the sprint team with his 3rd-place finish behind Mel Patton and Barney Ewell. A few days before the qualifying round for the London Olympic 100 meters, Dillard had a talk with Barney Ewell.
Barney was also my roommate. Actually, there were 4 of us in a room, a big room. And he had the cot or the bed next to mine. And on the Wednesday, before we were to run, I was sitting there, and this was actually the truth. I wasn't just saying it to psych Barney. I actually envisioned myself winning the final race on Saturday. And I told Barney that. I said, Barney, I'm going to beat you on Saturday. I said, I don't care what you do, I'm going to beat you. I've seen it, I feel it. And he just kind of laughed.
Even though Harrison Dillard had won all his preliminaries, the favorites in the race are still Mel Patton closest to the camera, Barney Ewell beside him in lane 2, and Lloyd LeBeach of Panama, lane 3. Dillard is at the top on the far outside in lane 6. Dillard on the extreme left is out fastest of all. Ewell, second from the right, is a few feet behind him.
We got down to about 50 meters, roughly halfway in the race, and I was perhaps 5 or 6 feet ahead, which I think was a phenomenal lead considering the caliber of the competition. And I was not about to stop and try to figure out, well, how did I get this far in front of these kind of guys? So I took the last few strides, I lunged for the tape, and I felt it strike me high across the chest. At the same time, somebody else is doing the same thing. There's another white jersey down there. And it turned out to be my teammate, Barney Ewell. Barney went into a victory dance or started jumping up and down. And I think that this was partly due to the fact that back here in the States, of course, this was before the photoelectrical timing systems became universal. And you just had judges looking, making decisions as to who had won and who had placed where. And so if the athlete acted as if he had won in a tight, close race, perhaps it might influence the judge almost unconsciously. And I remember Lloyd LeBeach from Panama. As I remember, Lloyd was in either the 3rd or 4th lane. He was between Barney and me in terms of lane assignment. And Lloyd finished 4th, so he was just back a ways, but in a perfect position to see. And I remember when the race ended and Barney was jumping up and down, and Lloyd saying to Barney, "Man, you don't win the race." He said, "Bones win. I see, Bones win." And sure enough, when they made the announcement, the Bones did win. And that's so I got the gold medal.
Harrison Dillard first, Barney Ewell second, Lloyd LeBeach third. In a few days, Dillard and Ewell will join Lorenzo Wright and Mel Patton on the heavily favored United States 4x100 relay team. Ewell, on the extreme right, leads off. Lorenzo Wright, in the middle, awaits Ewell's pass-off. Because of the staggered lanes, it is difficult to see who is in front. The third leg begins. Harrison Dillard, closest to the camera, has a 4-yard lead. Mel Patton takes the final pass-off from Harrison Dillard. As Patton moves towards the finish line, a British official observing the pass-off from Ewell to Wright is already moving to the judges' stand to file a protest. Barney Ewell remembers the scene.
And we wonder why it took so long for them to announce the winner. So they finally made an announcement that the United States team was disqualified. So our hearts sunk. And we wondered just what went wrong.
The judge who watched the first changeover between our first 2 runners thought that we had gone out of the baton passing zone. And on that basis, he disqualified us. Well, Barney, the leadoff man, his great experience, insisted that he had not gone out of the zone before giving the stick to Wright. On that basis, Barney's word primarily, a protest was lodged and filed with the Olympic Committee. And they agreed to review the protest. They studied the films, and it showed very clearly that the judge had made apparently was an honest mistake.
72 hours after the race, the United States relay team is officially recognized as the winner of the race. Harrison Dillard has won his second Olympic gold medal.
But incidentally, the mistake, the judge who made the mistake, we found out later was a Scotch Presbyterian minister. So, of course, we had no reason to question the man's honesty. It had to be an honest mistake.
Helsinki, 1952. The nations of the world again march in the opening day ceremonies of the Olympic Games. 29-year-old Harrison Dillard will again compete in two events. This time he qualifies in his specialty, the 110-meter hurdles. He will also run the second leg on the United States 4x100 relay team. His main opposition in the hurdles is expected to come from his teammate Jack Davis.
Jack Davis was obviously going to be the toughest competition for me. Jack from Southern Cal, a big, strapping, strong hurdler. He was a real hard-nosed competitor. I think this was one of the things that made him such a good hurdler, that he had absolutely no fear of a hurdle. He just attacked it as you're supposed to do. And the only thing I think that hurdlers worry about is hitting the hurdles, banging them to the extent that, as it had happened to me in 1948, that your timing and your rhythm is just so totally destroyed that you lose your speed.
Jack Davis is at the extreme right. Dillard, fourth from the right.
I had a beautiful start, led by inches going over the first hurdle, gradually lengthened the lead until about the fifth or sixth hurdle. And I saw this big foot come up beside me. You know, Jack was about 6'3", 6'3.5", as opposed to my little puny 5'10". With each succeeding hurdle, I could see more, and finally that big head and everything else, he was all there. And just a question now of, can I hold him off?
Harrison Dillard first, Jack Davis second, Arthur Barnard, United States, third. The finish is so close. Both Dillard and Davis are given the identical time of 13 and 7/10 seconds. Harrison Dillard has won his third Olympic gold medal. On the final day, the 4x100 relay is held. Dillard will run the second leg. Dillard on the extreme right takes the pass from Dean Smith. Because of the staggered lanes, it is difficult to see the leader. But Dillard has given Lindy Remigino of the United States a 3-meter lead. Remigino, closest to the camera, passes off to Andy Stanfield. The United States first, the Soviet Union second, Hungary third. Harrison Dillard's Olympic career is now over. He has equaled the record of his boyhood idol, Jesse Owens, 4 gold medals. And now that it is over, what moments would Harrison Dillard want to relive?
I think the first one, simply because it was first. Winning the gold medal after not having been able to qualify and win in the hurdles was the culmination of a dream that I'd had for over a dozen years. And when I mounted that victory stand, I can remember, I'll never forget, seeing the flag go up, hearing the national anthem played, and feeling the hair on the back of my neck stand up. I remember just feeling so very proud that I, a young black man from Cleveland, was able to stand there and cause the anthem to be played and the flag to be raised because of an effort on my part. It was just a fantastic feeling.